Yes. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Richard Lee from the firm of Richard Lee Chambers. I'm also very honored to be the current co-chairperson of the Professional Standards and Development Committee of the Malaysian Bar, working with Salim Bashir. This webinar that I am holding and hosting is a series of webinars that my firm has been organizing over the last 3 weeks. We have been discussing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on certain aspects of commerce, like employment, tourism, sport, business, SME, etc., etc. But I also wanted to hold a series of webinars for the benefit of the Malaysian Bar and for today, my counterparts in Sabah and Sarawak Bar. So yesterday we had a webinar to discuss the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on Klang by law firm. So, you know, Salim, last week, Jaya from Johor and a lawyer from Langkawi, a lawyer from Kota Baru and a lawyer from KL, exactly 1 week ago, had another webinar to talk about the impact on legal services from the small firm perspective. Right?
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, a few thousand people have viewed that. It's been well received. So, okay, without further ado, it's already 68 people logged on. Thank you very much. Can I first invite the two gentlemen to introduce themselves, and then we'll start. Salim, can I invite you to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi, Roger. Hi, Richard. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, first of all, I wish you all well. I'm Salim Bashir, the president of the Malaysian Bar, and I'm also the co-chairman of the Criminal Law Committee of the Bar Council. See? And it's a great morning, and I wish that we could, over a cup of tea, we could share our experiences and what the Malaysian Bar is working on for the members. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Salim. It's only we have 69 viewers so far and rising. Well done. Thank you very much to everybody who woke up early on. Well, now 11 o'clock is early nowadays and to watch this. My buddy in Kota Kinabalu, apa macam? All yours, Roger.
Hi, Ron. Thank you for joining this webinar. So basically, I'm Roger. I took office in July of last year, and little did I know that this would be, I guess, unprecedented times. I don't think during any time in the history of whether it be Malaysian Bar or the Sabah Bar, we have faced anything like this. So when Richard contacted me and said, can we do a webinar on this topic, I thought it was a fantastic idea because obviously many members, lawyers, I should say, regardless of where they are, whether they're in West Malaysia, in Sabah or Sarawak, there are many things they are concerned about. And as you would all know, we've been actively, whether it's Malaysian Bar or Sabah Bar or Sarawak Bar, we've been actively trying our best to make sure that things go on as smoothly as they can, notwithstanding all of these difficult times. So thank you very much, Richard, for inviting us. And look forward to today's webinar.
Excellent. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We've got 77 people. Well done. And later on, after this Facebook Live completes, this video will remain available on the Facebook page at my firm. And so anybody can go and watch it. So anybody who's watching now, please share this video with your respective pages, and then we can have a discussion there. Again, good morning to everybody who just logged on. Just to share with you, we did invite our counterparts in Sarawak Bar, and they apologize they couldn't make it. Runway unfortunately have something else to do today. We'll just move on. So, gentlemen, it's like what Roger said. What an interesting time to live. You know, who would have thought in our career, the three of us, instead of having teh tarik in Kota Kinabalu or outside Salim's office, will be doing this. You know, so we truly live in remarkable times, but we will persevere, and together I think we will prevail. You know, Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic of discussion is about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Malaysian Bar and the Sabah Bar. The discussion will be very much about a policy point of view from the viewpoint of the respective presidents. We are very fortunate to have both the presidents of the two bars in Malaysia. We'll first start off with this topic. We will discuss about the current impact, what's happening now with the MCO, or some people call it PKP, the impact of it on the Malaysian Bar and the Sabah Bar. So, Salim, can I invite you first? So far, what have you observed and what have you seen the significant impacts of MCO on the courts, the administration of justice, and maybe the work process like the land office and whatnot? So we start off with the courts first. What is your observation of the impact on the courts? All yours, Salim.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, we are unsure how long this MCO going to be remain. This is, as what Roger put it earlier, this is an unprecedented situation that we all are in. We are in the Bar Council also on the same boat. You know, we are in uncharted water. We are navigating beyond normalcy without much direction. But we are hoping that we could reach our shore safe and sound, navigating along and the entire members to safety. And as what Richard put it, we for the past 1 month, we have been observing there are a lot of fears that have been going around among the clubs of members. What is the future going to be? This is a matter of concern. And I can feel, we can understand that the courts is not functioning is because for the simple reason the MCO is in place. So therefore, apart from essential matters, urgent matters, the court is not allowing any form of hearings. However, the e-filing and e-review is in progress. But we have an issue as far as the e-filings are concerned, because the lawyers do not have an access to their firms. If they do not have an access to their firms, then how are they going to have an access to their files to retrieve documents for the purpose of filing? So this is something that, you know, we take into account, and we actually wanting that to be solved by the court. We did go the court in respect of that, but unfortunately they have a different view. They have a different way of looking at it. They want the business as usual to go on in respect of the e-filing, and they didn't accede to our request to at least to slow down, to put a halt to this practice during the MCO period. You see? In respect of the conveyancing sectors, the land office are closed. Okay, stamp office are closed. The LHDNs are closed. So there's nothing much the conveyancing practitioners can do, okay, apart from acceding to the online methods that are already being allowed in certain areas of practice. For example, like stamp duties and all that, they cannot do it physically, but they can do it by way of online.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
I think, Salim, you really have put it in a very clear nutshell what is happening in the peninsular side of the bar. But I do understand that because personally for me, my criminal defense work have significantly reduced over the years. But I'm told by my counterparts in the criminal defense bar that the remand process is still ongoing, isn't it?
Very true, Richard. The remand process were done in the court before, but because of these COVID situations that might compromise safety and health of our lawyers and also the public at large, okay, because we can see, you know, a lot of remand prisoners being murdered in chains, okay, and then the close proximity between the lawyers and the remand prisoners, including the judicial officers. The court has taken a step now to talk to the police and has the remands now in the police station.
I see. So
remands are being taken to are being done within the locality of the police station. But if there is a situation of a prosecution, then the person are being taken to the court for the purpose of prosecution.
I see. Excellent. So at least the administration of justice still continue in Peninsula, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the wheel of justice is still proceeding. Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's good. Roger, can I ask the same question? What is your observation so far as president of the impact on the current court process, administration of justice, and of course the other processes which the corporate and conveyancing lawyers, they need to use those government processes? What is the impact so far on all the three areas? All yours, Roger.
So basically, as far as the impact on the administrative process, you're talking about the LHDN, land office, and all that. It's pretty much the same. Our land office is closed. However, the director of the lands and surveys has said to us that they will take into account that you cannot file your appeals within time. All you need to do is when MCO is lifted, you file your appeal and explain to them that you, for example, I couldn't file this appeal because it was during MCO, and they will allow the appeal in. So I thought that was rather proactive of them to do so. So that's good as far as lands and surveys is concerned. And as far as the other government bodies, LHDN and all that, it pretty much is the same thing. Partially available, majority not. Everything seems to be just obviously stretched on to take into account MCO. Now, as far as courts are concerned, a few days before MCO came in, when we didn't even know MCO was coming, but we thought we'd better get ready for anything, we actually met up with CJSS. Now, what was interesting is during the meeting in CJSS, we were pushing for virtual hearings and how to go about doing it. And we were pretty much ready. When MCO came in, we were pretty much ready to go on with how hearings would be done. So for that matter, what has happened during MCO time, obviously e-filing is still available, but not only e-filing, we have been doing virtual hearings as well. In fact, one of the things that has happened is a trial has gone on using Zoom, okay? Using Zoom with the expert witness from West Malaysia, and the trial was going on with parties all over the place. So that has happened. So we know it's workable. And as far as virtual hearing for reviews, you can either go onto e-review and say to the judge, let's wait until MCO. The judge will be happy to allow that to happen. Or you can say, contact the other side and say, look, let's do a virtual hearing. The other side will be very, if the other side's accommodating, they will say, okay. And we've actually done virtual hearings that way as well. That's worked out well as well. So as far as administration of justice in Sabah, it's pretty much still on. Of course, the only issue, Salim, which is, and Richard, of course, is access to files and all of that. So what I think needs to be done, and it's become very obvious, moving forward, we need to have a better office management system for members. All right. So what this means is we're looking into ways of how, we all know there are over-the-table office management, over-the-counter office management software, but they cost about 30,000-40,000 there per user and so on and so forth. Right? We all know that. But of course, you think to yourself, how many people actually want that? If you're a one-man show, would you even think about it? And then they always have this package. If you have 2 people multiplied by 1.5, 2, whatever, right? So moving forward, we think what we want to do for our members is we want to collectively, perhaps, and we're looking into this, offer office management software to our members. So meaning SLS will pay for the whole system, right? And then from there, I mean, these are just preliminary thoughts. We haven't worked out the mechanics of it. We pay for a system, and then every member pays a subscription of whatever, a few hundred ringgit, right? For example, who wants a system. Then what it would mean is finally you have something really affordable, okay? Because 30,000 is not affordable, basically, right? Cost, so this has made us think, if you actually had your files, wherever it is, you could literally work from home without ever going to the office, right? So that to me is the new norm. Okay, the new norm is about thinking how can we actually sit in our office, sit at home and do everything properly. And of course, we need, like I said, the ancillary services like office management software, sheet. So these are the things that I think we need to do.
Excellent, Roger. I'm definitely going to come back and talk about that in more detail later. But I guess it's a good move. My opinion, I think, is a very effective idea. Something we can explore in Peninsula. We have certain state bars which have signed up with certain providers. So collectively as a group, the state bar will pay for that services. You know, it has been done. Yes, Salim.
Yeah, can I add on what being said by Roger? Yeah, we agree with the reason that it's not going to be how things were done before. It's going to be a new normalcy. It's a game changer. We have to reset the button of how we operate our business. You know, the way we do things socially, you know, and our working life. That is why even in Peninsula, we are very much encouraging web conferencing, online business meetings, online arbitration, filing documents through e-filings, blockchain technologies for signing documents. So this is a way forward. And this office software that we're told by Roger is already there in Semenanjung. They're being practiced by some big firms and all that. Okay, and that is something that all of us should emulate, should work on for the future after post MCU.
Yep, excellent, good comment, both of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 126 people viewing the video now, and this on Facebook because the three of us are on StreamYard, so we can't see what's happening on Facebook. Apparently, this has been shared many times. So thank you very much for everybody who just logged on. So, ladies, gentlemen, just about 10 days ago, I had the same webinar with Desmond Ho of Malacca Bar and Kenny Lai of Perak Bar. You know them, Salim. They are former chairpersons of the Court Liaison Committee of the Bar Council. So we were discussing about the impact on the litigation process, and they were members who were asking what's happening in Sabah, particularly with the hearing and trials. So I'm going to come back to you later, Roger. Maybe you can expound on how that trial worked, so for us to listen, and maybe we can try to apply it in Peninsula. Right now, moving on. Next topic. We'll come back to that later. Next topic. Gentlemen, I have read in the papers where the both of you have proposed the idea of a temporary statute, a temporary enactment of Parliament. Which effectively will impose some sort of a temporary injunction on potential civil suits inter alia. Salim, would you like to comment on that? I saw your comment, and even Roger issued a press statement. But Salim, would you like to comment on that, please?
On a single legislation.
Yes.
In fact, I issued 2 press statements calling the government to start a single legislation for all situations that covering pre-MCO and post-MCO. What you can see now is a government coming out promulgating a lot of new directives, as per 1988 Act. And all these new directives may not have legitimacy as far as the law is concerned. And this is our worry. We need certainty. The members of the bar, as lawyers, and also the public at large, need certainties on the directions of these regulations and whatever they are turning out in public. So therefore, we are actually asking the government to immediately legislate an act of Parliament, follow suit what's being done in UK, where they came up, I think within 10 days or something, they already came out with Coronavirus Act 2020, and also the Singapore with the COVID Act 2020. This is a time limited legislation which can be survival for a year or two. It's a on-off thing by the government where they can enact to activate this act whenever it's already being legislated. It's not going to be there on a permanent basis, but this will address the void in terms of employment, in terms of judicial mechanisms, and a lot of other things as well. So we have to actually push the government to enact a legislation to give legal basis to whatever direction is out there. Thank you, Roger.
Well said, Salim. I think that was basically your press statement. Many of us read it, and I think many members of the bar, I've noticed in the social media comments of the Peninsular Bar, have made positive comments, I think, supporting that stand. So let's hope Parliament will do it. But in Sabah, Roger, when you issued a statement, were you proposing a not just a federal enactment? Are you also proposing the same in the Sabah state level?
Obviously, there are some issues. For example, land matters. Okay, Sabah has. Sorry, this number always escapes me. We have many state legislation. The numbers, I think, would go into the hundreds, if low hundreds. But there's a lot of state legislation, and a lot of these state legislation have got time limits inside them. For example, as most of you would know, limitation ordinance applicable in Sabah is actually our limitation ordinance. So it's not only federal that needs to have this legislation; it would also be state needing a legislation. Yeah. So when we were thinking about this, it occurred to us it was not enough to call for a federal legislation. We also needed something in Sabah as well. But in our mind, it is obviously a balancing act. Do you go as far as where Australia and is going, whereas landlord and tenant can't do anything to each other during this time? Is that too much, for example? Or to what extent do you need this? So in our mind, what we were thinking is something at the basic core of it is like what Salim said. Number one, giving legitimacy to all these will give you extension of time. Okay, that's the most important thing. Number two, what we were thinking of was literally just making sure that if you were not in default prior to MCO, then during the MCO, you can't argue that I am in default. Okay, so you have to wait. I get an additional 28 days, 60 days, however long MCO goes for, right, to perform my obligations under whatever. Okay, so that was the idea. So what this would mean is that everyone does not lose any real right. Okay, I can still sue you for breach, but you can't sue me during that time. We just have to give each other that time to perform. So that was at the lowest level. That's what we had in mind. Okay. Yes. Again, we need to think about how the court proceedings can work, and that is also what obviously perhaps needs to be covered in I think ideally an omnibus legislation. I don't think we can go into it obviously has to be an omnibus act to go about doing this.
Interesting, because there's peculiar issues with, of course, the states of Sabah and Sarawak being two independent states there. So that was why I asked you whether Sabah needs to have another separate additional ordinance. In my view, I think Sabah does need it because there are certain things peculiar to Sabah and laws needs to be done. But on that point, Roger, is there any potential? Here in as you know, our parliament here in KL, we understand that the next parliament sitting is in May. It should be held earlier after the change of government. But is there going to be a state assembly sitting soon in Sabah?
There is. I actually just saw it today. I didn't have time to look into it, but there is talks about having it not too far in the distant future. So I think there are moves. They do know they have to have a dun sitting, and I think that's being done. I didn't read it, but I saw a lot of comments going on about it this morning. So they do know they need to sit.
The current government, I think this is my personal view. This is not the view of the bar, and I don't want to cast my views on Salim. But I feel that they're currently taking advantage of this MCO to do whatever they need to do internally behind the scene and of course they're telling everybody Malaysian don't politicize situation. But I feel that they are not taking what the two of you are saying seriously. I noticed that hardly there's any comment from anybody about this act. And the funny thing is that I think what Salim and you are proposing, Roger and Salim, this is a crucial, very crucial for the survival of the commerce in Malaysia, if there is such an act of parliament lah. So perhaps I think the two state bars with Sarawak maybe can put in a concerted effort to push. And Salim, I said this before in the Malaysian Bar AGM. If the Malaysian Bar need help, you have 19,000 members to support you. Call us.
Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Many of us to help. Yeah. So okay.
Richard, just very quickly, I just wanted to say that basically what the problem here is this. You're right. You're absolutely right. We need the legislation, and many acts do not have a force. Sorry, not many acts. Many contracts do not have a force majeure clause.
Yeah.
Okay, we know that, right? And do you really want to say, oh, you go down the path of frustration, right? That's not the idea. So, I mean, if you left it to our own devices, we'd be looking at force majeure and frustration, obviously, right? But the whole idea of this omnibus legislation is not to go down that path. We don't want to terminate. We don't want agreements to die because of this. We want agreements to go on, right?
Yeah.
And so this omnibus legislation, if they thought long and hard about it, they will realize it serves the purposes of making sure that things carry on rather than let's cut every contract. So that is even more so the reason why this omnibus legislation must come in. Otherwise, there'll be many cancelled contracts, and we'll all end up in court.
Yeah, exactly. Another issue is, Richard, if I could share, when the government imposed the wage subsidy with a condition that, if I give you this much, please do not lay off your employees, do not terminate them and all that. Where is the legitimacy under the employment law?
Yeah,
so this is something that the government should legislate and cover the voids there in not only the employment law but in all the other aspects of the law that is coming in. Thanks.
I agree with you, Salim. I think you really made clear the feelings, especially among the employers and the SMEs. The funny thing, Salim, I held a webinar on employment, human resource, and industrial relations. One of the problems is under Section 2 of the Employment Act. It defined wages to be paid for work done. There is no work done, So, but of course, on the other side of the coin, from the employee side of you, the employee will say, it's not that I don't want to do the work, I can't. So that's why we live in a very difficult moment, and there's no, very, very uncharted. We don't really know what to do. And Roger, let me share with you something about this frustration and force majeure. As you know, one of the small areas of law that I like is sports. So we had a webinar recently, and one of the barristers said this. He said, look, you can't use force majeure and frustration in sports contract, because if Barcelona triggered force majeure, they will lose Lionel Messi for free. It's not as easy as that. I think some people, they make comments, force majeure, they don't really know. And we all, those who do litigation, know that it's not easy to prove force majeure in court. So there you go, But anyway, that is another topic of discussion. So well done, gentlemen. I think the two of you are passionately pushing the point for an interim law, and I hope it goes through. And I think many members of the bar and society hope it goes through. Now, we'll go to the next point. Before we go on, some take-home points to everybody who just log on. We have 145 people who log on. So, ladies and gentlemen who are viewing, so far the take-home is this. The two bars have noticed that the court has, because the court is not listed as essential services, the civil litigation justice is tremendously delayed. And in Peninsula, lawyers are challenged to file e-filing because their hardware are all in office. Many law firms they cannot file unless they go to office to do filing. Some law firms, of course, they have the laptop, so that's not too bad. But you cannot have a situation where some can, some cannot. So that's one observation. Both bars, Sabah Bar indicated that there is a trial conducted live. So we're going to discuss that later when we talk about the future of the bar. Both presidents mentioned about ongoing administration of justice for bail, remand. Well done to that. We also have comments about the suspension of a land office and income tax office, all affecting the bars. So far that number one. Number two, the two presidents have mentioned they are both together on one point. We need an interim law which may effectively injunct people from doing certain things to make sure nobody is suing, like what Roger said just now. We will have non-stop people suing everybody. That's not what we want, right? So that is the topic of discussion so far. It's 11:34 a.m. now. We'll go to the next area. Gentlemen, since we have been discussing about these two topics so far, the elephant in the room that we need to talk about is the future. What can we do as the strong 20,000-30,000 members in the three bars? What can we do? How do we do? Why do we do? All these kind of things we have to take into account. So, Salim, can I ask you first, in your view, your observation and maybe your vision, what do you think we can do for the short term and long term? The next few months, what does the bar intend to do? And in the long term, what does the bar intend to do? All yours, Salim.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. As far as the Bar Council concerned, we are of the view that we cannot run away from embracing legal technology. This is inevitable. All the while, maybe some sectors in Semenanjung are very comfortable in doing ways and in a very conservative and traditional way. But now we have to adapt to changes. These changes, it is something that we cannot stop. And as far as Bar Council is concerned, we already have taken steps even before COVID pandemic. The CPD courses were held online. The ethics course we have it online, and then the SAPC applications, the CGL annual practice certificate application also now is fully online. So we already have taken steps as far as these methods are concerned. Moving forward, I think as regulators, we need to look at our rules and rulings. The rules or ruling cannot be the obstruction, okay, to the way how things, the new normal is going to operate. So we, as regulators, we need to look at it. If there is a need, maybe the respective committee of the Bar Council need to revisit the ruling, okay, to move forward. We have to balance the need of our 20,000 members out there. It's a very big number. We have to take into account the interests of each and every one of them. It's not only Mr. Joe, as I pointed out, who is working in KL, but also Kia, who is in Baling Kedah, or Miss Lim, who is in Bentong Pahang. We have to take into account the interest of everyone to come to an understanding how we're going to move forward. And we also have called upon the government to help our members. The firms, we have about 5,000 over firms registered in Semenanjung alone. And we have 19,000 over lawyers, 19,800 over lawyers in Semenanjung. So we have called upon the government to help us. We are not begging, but we are asking them for help. Just like any other bars in the Commonwealth country, we are asking them to help, give us a special fund for us to survive, special fund for legal services. And it's an interest-free special fund. We have called upon them to address on that issue. We have also asked them for interest-free grants. Okay. You see, what the government is doing through their stimulus package is churning out loans, asking members to apply for loans. This will drag them further further down the road for indebtedness. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. At the moment, our members are servicing the current loan. If you burden them with further loans, it will be disastrous if they cannot manage it. Yes. And economically, we might lead to a recession. This is inevitable. So therefore, we have to prepare ourselves for that. We also have asked the government to give us a tax holiday for 3 years, 2019, 20, and 21. We have go to the government on that. Our tax committee in the Bar Council, I worked on it. okay, and they have wrote to the government, finance ministry, asking them to wait for the 3 years tax, to give us a tax holiday for the 3 years period. And as far as the firm is concerned, we have also asked the government for a 50% deduction in our employer's contribution. You see? So this is something that, you know, that we have asked the government, and we hope the government can actually realize this and help our members to at least move forward. And we have a lot of other plans in pipeline. You see, we are still, Bar Council is still working on it. We will still deliberate and then come to a landing, and how we're going to impose all this. We have a problem. We have financial and legal impediments. And we have to overcome this. You see, and I wish the members be patient. You know, the hope is still there. Okay, we will work along with all the other committee members. With, as what Richard said, he's one of our great contributor to the working of the Bar Council. Okay, we work with all our stakeholders to come to landing where we could actually help our members. Thanks, Rob.
You know, at this juncture, I think I quite safe for me to say, for on behalf of all the 19,000 members, I think many, I'm quite sure they are all very happy that council have reduced our subscription. So well done to council.
Thank you.
I saw some social media people ask for more discount. You know,
we wish we could give more, Richard.
We'll take it up. Well, I had a discussion with our finance finance committee, but I think yes, for the moment that seems to be what we can do. Then we see how. And of course, as you know, Salim, as the chair of CPD, with Ravi Neku, we are both trying to do as many CPD online for free now, so that members can comply with the CPD and at the same time don't pay any money. Now, good point. Thank you for raising all that. So basically, the take home from from Salim, before I go to Roger, Salim is explained to us that in the long term, we have to embrace technology. I think legal technology for the bar is the way forward. And I suppose, Salim, you would agree with me, when we talk about legal technology, we're also talking about the delivery system. So, for example, in my view, land office should be improved. No use you and me go high tech. Land office is still 1955, you know. Then even LHDN and all that, they have to improve too. You know, not just asking us to buy the latest laptop, but they are not doing anything. So I think that must be a holistic embracement of legal technology. I think you would agree with me on that. And of course, our president also mentioned about the long-term plans, the short-term plans, where the council have asked the intervention of the government for some financial subsidy. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, well said. Roger, so in Sabah, what are your short-term plans and long-term plans? And over here, Roger, I will be inviting you to expand what you mentioned about the litigation trial that you had online just now. So my first question to you is, what are the short-term plans for Sabah, long-term plans, and what is your vision for the Sabah, and a discussion on the online trial? All yours, Roger.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I think short-term, long-term, they're basically the same thing. We have obviously very similar visions to what Salim has said. You have to move forward with technology. Like I said previously, we are thinking, how do we make office management software available for everyone, proper ones, so that you have always access to whatever you need, and you don't have to be a big firm. The problem now is, like I said, I have to be a fairly big, well, I wouldn't say big, but I have to be a fairly well-to-do firm in order to afford this, right? So how do we make it available to everyone so that you could have all your billing done, your billing linked to your work, to your files, to everything being digitized? How do I do that? And how do I give it to every member at a rate that every single member can afford? So that's one thing. Now, as far as moving forward with the courts, fortunately, our e-filing system, and those of you who have seen it would know that it's fairly different from what you have over in West Malaysia. Okay, we are very fortunate in the sense that our vendor is ever willing and ready to tweak it to whatever we want. Okay, so it is now so customized that it literally sends me a message in the morning telling me these are your next 3 days worth of cases every 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so it's really very customized, because every time we have an issue, we will go to them and say, can you do this? And within a few days, it's done. So it's been tweaked to the point where it serves us very, very well. Okay. And for example, in West Malaysia, you have to download your, when you do a file search, you have to download page by page, right? Yes. You have to download page by page. Here, no such thing. We can download the whole file, and you can still be charged properly because you know exactly how many pages are in that file. Okay. Correct. So for example, so meaning we've tweaked it to an extent that it's if I dare say, perhaps it's a little bit more user-friendly, for example. Okay. Now, but more importantly about the virtual hearings, I hear what Salim is saying. What Salim is saying is we have to cater for everyone from A to Z. Absolutely right. And I think we are fortunate when we sent out a circular to members telling them about the virtual hearings and everything. There was very little pushback, if any at all, to be honest. Okay. I mean, I expected there to be a lot more pushback, people to say, oh no, I can't do it. I'm against it for whatever reason. There were none. Even the ones who said, I'm very bad with technology. Can you teach me? Okay, that was the response of our members, and I have to say thank you, Sabah lawyers, Sabah members. Yeah, you help us a lot, because if you take that sort of a stance, it means that we can move forward together. So I am on a 2 megabit StreamX line now. Okay, 2 megabit, and most of you are probably on Unified. Okay, most of you are Unified. So I'm on a 2 megabit StreamX line, and we're doing this right now. Yeah. Okay. And there are basically none 2 megabit StreamX line left, because what TM did was they upgraded everyone to Unified, basically. Okay. So I did it. So I'm still on 2 megabit, but on 2 megabit we can do this. Okay. So that is an example. All right. So that's an example. And also, we wanted to make it open. It doesn't matter. You want StreamX? You want Zoom? You want Skype? You want WebEx? You want whatever? Okay. We were saying doesn't matter. Free for all. Okay. Whatever is easiest. If I call up my opposing counsel, and say, hey, which one are you more comfortable with? He says, I want to use Skype. No problems. It is. Then we tell the Judge A, we want to use Skype. Judge A will say, no problems, I'm on Skype also, or Zoom, or whatever. No issues there, right? So meaning we were prepared to work with each other to come up with a solution, okay? So the next thing also, which I'm proposing and some judges are accepting, is this. For example, we say, oh, okay, 14 days to file your affidavit, no CO around, right? How to file your affidavit, right? So what I said to the other side was this: why don't you file your affidavit just signed? I will not raise an issue with that. Okay, I will not. I put it in e-review. I put it in writing. I will not raise an issue with that. As soon as MCO is lifted or soon thereafter, can you please go and get it attested? Okay, get it attested. It has to be the same content, right? Get it attested and then file it. I will raise no issues with that. So what that means is that we are working with each other to try to come up with a solution that we can move forward together, so that there are no delays. Okay, and I take note that in there is a UK case which is being passed around. I think it's called Blackfriars, where the judge basically said that you guys cannot say I'm not going to work with technology. I order you to work together to come up with a solution on how to overcome this issue. All right. So what we have done informally, we have exactly done that. We have spoken to each other. How do we do it? So we know, for example, Skype, Zoom, you don't have a laptop, no problem, download it to your phone. Because let's be honest about it. Everyone is, okay, not in West Malaysia, but everyone in Sabah is doing e-filing. Okay? Every single lawyer in Sabah is doing e-filing if they go to court, right? And hearings only refer to court now. So let's talk about court only. So if they are doing court matters and they are doing e-filing, what is this no internet issue? It doesn't apply. It meaning you do have access to internet.
I see.
Okay, you do have access to internet. So you cannot say I have no access to internet, because that makes no sense whatsoever, because you were doing e-filing already. Okay, and like I said, in Sabah and Sarawak, every single firm who is with the court has to do e-filing. There's no two ways about it lah. Okay, so yeah, so
that
we
for us,
yeah, so, correct. So for us, open platform, doesn't matter, Skype, Zoom, whatever, we're okay. Speed, like I said, 2 megabit obviously is not an issue, right? And as far as security is concerned, I know a lot of people are very concerned with security, but in reality, yes, there was an issue with Zoom, but you do also realize they keep improving themselves. It's not like you are using Zoom version 1, which was out 5 months ago, right? I think if I'm sure Zoom is updating themselves like every day or every 1 week, right? So they are addressing the security issue as well.
Yeah, they are.
The question that I ask myself is this: okay, if I have an issue with my banking account, I don't want anyone to steal it. Then maybe I think about using my phone, for example. Okay, I can download an app, I can still use it. Okay, so there are ways around the security concerns, basically. And rest assured, obviously, the tech companies are constantly updating their software to make sure that they're secure. So for me, I'm fairly comfortable with that. Okay. Okay. Sorry. The other thing, in addition to what Salim has suggested, what we think is a big point is the tax installment payments. Okay. A lot of our members, I'm sure it's similar across in West Malaysia as well. A lot of our members are literally sole proprietors. Okay, we have sole proprietors. So because a lot of these are sole proprietors, they're obviously paying CP 500 installment payments, right? So in fact, we're not so much asking for a tax break. Of course, that'd be fantastic if it ever came. What we're asking for is, look, instead of me paying on my $1 million income last year, obviously I got 0 income this year, right? Can you let me pay my actual income tax come June? Stop my CP 500. I will still pay my taxes, right? But you wait until my audited accounts comes out in June, and then I will pay the actual income tax that I'm meant to pay. So please don't take me on a forecasted based on last year's income, because obviously it's all off. And I don't have money, to pay for what I earned last year. Okay, so that's a big thing, and that would help many members. The CP 500, right? Yeah, and also we're moving forward. We're telling courts, obviously there has to be new modus operandi moving forward. For example, you've got to limit the number of people, the public, in the gallery. Okay, you've got to take measures, 2 people in the lift. You've got to put in lines so that it's permanently social distance. And for the next few months moving forward, we need to still take temperatures of people and make sure that hand sanitizers are available everywhere, okay, throughout court. So this is what we think moving forward is something that the court also has to do. So that addresses how do we, not only after MCO is lifted, then we are we don't need to worry anymore. We need to obviously worry and to make sure that the court is still okay moving forward. So IT, technology, measures taken by court, CP 500 installments to be actual real rather than forecasted. And There's one more issue. Sorry, that escapes me. But yeah. Back to you, Richard. Yeah.
We can comment later. Yeah, we can comment. So,
Richard, if I may, just to add on a bit, when it comes to video conferencing, we need to actually, I am the view that, we need to adapt to changes, no doubt about that. But we have to bear in mind that end of the day, justice matters. We cannot compromise a situation where there are no equality of arms. Disposal of justice cannot override the quest for justice to be done in a certain matters, more so whether it's criminal or civil. So the courts cannot work in silo. They have to work along with the bar. They have to formulate rules, have strong discussions with us that could benefit the entire members as far as Peninsula is concerned. Because we have a concern that members in maybe in Klang Valley would have the benefit of infrastructures, wide internet connections. But whereas in other skirts of the Malaysia, other parts of Malaysia, maybe in Kuala Terengganu or Kelantan or Kedah, their internet connections may not be that strong. So they may be deprived of having an access to this technology. So we do not want the wheel of justice come to a grinding halt because of injustices that's happening in the system. So it's very important for us now, before we could even go into discussing this video conferencing, we have to make sure that the mechanisms, the correct mechanisms are in place, because the dynamics of Semenanjung and Sabah, Sarawak may be slightly different in terms of composition, geographical locations, and all that. Thank you.
To be fair, Salim, I totally agree with you, because I'm visualizing how we're going to do the trial in Marang, in Kulim, blah, blah. And I think Sabah has the same problem, because there are many courts in the suburban and the rural areas, right? So they will have all of us have challenges, and worse for Sabah, many of the Sabahans are still using or forced to use streamings, because not the state haven't got unified, is it, Roger?
Many places still do not, what do they call it? You're not close to the node. You're not close enough to the node. Therefore, if you want it, you've got to pay for the node, connection to the node.
Unfortunate, because I remembered the former minister, Gobind Singh, he mentioned that he wanted to get the whole country connected. But I guess we'll never know, because he was removed. Now, very, very interesting. So both state and the state of Sabah and the Peninsula Bar are moving towards changes. There's a movement towards technology. There's acknowledgement that all of us have to change the way we practice. Even the bar itself is moving, both the bars are moving towards a group purchase, group operations to assist all bars, so it's really good. But because we don't have much time, it's already almost 12, and I know Salim has to go off somewhere else, so I'm just going to jump into one area. What is both your very quick comment, just 1 minute, what are your comments about the proposed open of law firms? There's been a lot of confusion. I think Salim, you spoke to the minister. One say yes, one say no. Very kilang kabul. I mean, they seem to be very efficient when they wanted to change the government, but they seem to be very inefficient when you want to do all this. So maybe Salim, you want to comment for 1-2 minutes about what can open law firm?
Sure. This is a problem when left hand don't know what right hand doing. This is the kind of situation we are facing. When the meeting came up with the directives on legal services and all that, everybody were excited about allowing law firms to be open. But then later on, the law minister himself contacted me and told me that that's not supposed to be. It is not specific. The details have to be worked out. So therefore, please instruct your members to put a stop to the applying until we came up with exact definition, which they did, I believe, after a couple of days. The law ministry actually came up with a directive to allow a certain fields, certain type of firms that does type of work, certain type of works to be allowed to be operated. But as far as the Bar Council's position are concerned, this is not my view. This is Bar Council's collective view that we allow certain leeway for legal firms to operate by applying to MITI, and they have their own regulations and all that. They should comply. But certainly we do not agree for only a certain field or certain firm that does certain type of work to be allowed to operate. Unfortunately, this was the directive of the government, which the members have to comply at the moment.
Good point, Roger. So far, this process to apply to open a firm, what's the observation so far in Sabah?
Okay, what is interesting is Sabah and Sarawak seems to be able to control our own movement, meaning it doesn't matter what federal says, it can be overridden by what Sabah and Sarawak says. Okay, so but of course, I think generally if federal says an area can be open, the state generally will agree to it. Okay, for example, I think hairdressers were allowed, or sorry, there were other sectors which were allowed, even if it was not allowed by federal. Okay, so Sabah and Sarawak can control sectors on its own and can allow movements on its own. So that was quite interesting. But what I learned from all of this, Richard, is this: we sent out a survey to members about what do you think about the call to open up to operate during MCO for law firms. Okay, a sizable number of our members came back and they were very, very firm and strong with their views, which is basically, no, we should not open up. I have to say that was a little bit surprising to me because I was thinking after sitting for 1 month, perhaps members would be raring and wanting to go forward, right? But no, a lot of our members actually came back and said, no, we should stay put. We should not open up because we need to think about lives and so on, which I completely and utterly respect. I see that as well, right? So that is why we never push for anything about making it essential services or allow it to open. So I think, to be fair, obviously, the spectrum goes from one end, which is don't open up, to open up. And so what the stance that we would of course agree now with is if the government allows it to be opened up, then you apply, and if you can show that there is a need, whatever need, doesn't have to be just limited to conveyancing and corporate. For example, wills. In Singapore, we all know probate matters are still is considered essential. They can go on with that, right? But why is it not possible here? I know you can argue things like you can do it at home, but I've got to give it to somebody. Someone's got to give it to me, right? Meaning something has to happen now, right? Yes. Why not wills for that matter, right? So I agree completely with Salim. If you open it up, then perhaps you should not discriminate. And for me, it's based on needs. Okay, if you can show MITI or whoever, the Sabah state government, I've got a need to do this, and the state government gives us a limited time period to do it, maybe twice a week, which is what MITI was doing anyway. But what I'm trying to say is that for us, we leave it to members. We respect all members' views. If you think that we should not open, by all means, we agree with you. If you think you should open, please convince the government that you have a need to open. Because a lot of us probably, honestly, don't really have a need to open. Okay, not out of, if you say we have about 800 active members, out of 800 active members, would you say a large proportion of us need to open? I dare say no. Okay, I dare say that the numbers probably would be fairly low, in the sense that maybe you're talking about 5 to 10% perhaps. Right, 5 to 10 perhaps. So meaning the vast majority don't actually have a real reason why they need to open. Okay? So that's why we respect members' views, and we're not pushing for anything. We'll leave it to the government, and that's our stance on that.
You know, in my years of practice, never will I imagine that, number one, we have to apply to a government agency to open. You know, I am one of those members who, and Salim knows my history, even Roger, we worked from the young lawyer days, right? To me, defending the independence of my bar is the utmost cherished principle when we fight for whatever we have to fight. And even seeing my president having to write to the government to propose for funds because our members are in dire straits, it's unimaginable for me lah. So I never thought that one day we will be having to apply of all the agencies some more to MITI and to the very minister who seemed to like to ride horses and change horse halfway through in February. So it's so remarkable that we are living in that kind of era. But well said. I like the two of you. And I think Salim, you also made it very clear that you are in communicating with the minister. Very good. Keep it up. And I think we need that line of communication so that we can get updates. Well done. I want to go to Q&A because I think Salim got to make a move. He's got another webinar, teleconference to go. Yeah. And I think Roger, you also said very well what's happening in Sabah. I think Sabah lawyers are very progressive. You know, the way things are done there, they are very innovative. And your Chief Justice has always been known to move towards technology even before the MCO. So I'm quite I'm pleased for the bar, and I applaud Sabah Bar for all the move. Some of the questions I want to point here is this. I saw one question from a member of the bar. Hang on, very much earlier on, Miss Munira. She asked a question. But so many comments here. By the way, we have 156 members who sign on. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. We found it. There. So this is Munira, a lawyer from Kuala Lumpur, former chairperson of, a committee member in KL Bar. Thank you for reduction of subscription fee. We understand that some of the other professional bodies have conducted surveys. Will the Malaysian Bar be compiling feedback from members, and what happens to the pupils? So I know Salim, AG Kalidas have sent out an email to all of us asking for feedback and survey, and I know Roger mentioned about survey too. Would you like to talk about this?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the question. We have sent out our own surveys on various issues. You know, please take part in the survey. You know, right? And then we'll be compiling the data based on the sampling, and we will tabulate to come to a landing to help us to actually regulate the directions that we should focus on. In terms of the subscriptions, of course, we wish that we could go down further. But as I have reiterated earlier, that we have some legal and financial impediments that we need to look at. We need to look at the financial strain as to the Bar Council as a whole. In terms of our staff salary, bonus, may not be bonus this year, I do not know, salary and other costs that we might incur. That could be the reason why we have come to a landing that, you know, it's only certain amounts that we could actually turn out to our members. You know, and I hope that is a great help to the members. As far as the pupils are concerned, this is my understanding that there have been rules that have been amended that your pupillage will be taken into account during the MCO period. And it's also disheartening for me to note there are some members out there, some masters, who refuse to pay their pupils. You know, this has been brought to my attention. First and foremost, we have to understand that they are not employees. The pupils are not employees. They are not entitled to a salary. The least, you know, whatever they get is only an allowance. I really hope and I beg for the masters to consider the plight of the pupils out there, because it makes a lot of difference for them, even a certain small amount of money to be given to them. If you're not going to give it to the pupils, they will cause them a great hardship. Not every pupils out there from a rich family. I really hope for the senior lawyers, the masters, to consider giving them a small bit. Nothing we could do, as far as under the employments are concerned. You see, but I really hope, as the president of the bar, I really hope for the masters to consider giving them a small token. If you want to reduce the amount promised, the allowance promised earlier, that is at your own will. You can negotiate with your pupils, but I really wish that you do not ask them to leave the firm at this juncture, or you deprive them of allowances that you've been giving all the while. Thank you.
Well said, Salim. Well said. Well said. Before I go to Roger, I would like to also commend being a former chairperson of the Young Lawyers, and I've been very honored to have the opportunity to lead a few Young Lawyer Committee and the National Young Lawyers before. If indeed it's true that masters are not disbursing allowances to pupils, I think that conduct is unbecoming. And I will speak for all the pupils and the young lawyers or especially the pupils who are not receiving the allowances, that this is not good, not right, and I dare say illegal. While it may not be employment, but it's still a contract. But I suppose we will need to do one step at a time, Salim. So well said, Roger. The comment by Munira. I repeat the comment. What are the are you receiving feedbacks from your bar, and what is the status with the pupils in Sabah?
Okay. Similarly, we reduce our subscription also.
Well done.
Thanks. So what we learned from all of this is that there are obviously many views of members. Okay, some members obviously feel it's not enough. Some members feel it's too much, because no matter how you look at it, like what Malaysian Bar has done is we've looked at our finances, and we need to do projections, and we need to work out what sort of discounts we can actually give, right? So on the basis of that, we worked out a figure, and we reduced it. But surprisingly, some members are actually saying, "Oh no, don't do that, because we want the bar to be financially strong." Okay, so that was actually quite interesting. That view took me by surprise a little bit, which means that there are a lot of members who are also very passionate about the bar, who feel that, look, this a few hundred ringgit. In your case, it was a few hundred ringgit, right? For us, it's not quite a few hundred, but it's more than 100, right? Won't really make too much of a difference to me. Therefore, you keep the money, right? Because you'll be able to make the bar stronger. So there were views from all across, and we take note of that. We take note that members really do care about the bar, and I'm heartened. Thank you, Sabah bar members, because it shows that you care. And likewise, we care because we look at the projections and we try to work out what can we reduce without making ourselves financially weak, right? There will be, notwithstanding MCO is over, but we do realize that going to the government for grants, which may have been easier in the past, will no longer be easier moving forward in at least the next 1 year. So if we want to do anything, where do we find the money, right? We go and dig up the reserves and do it, and will that benefit anyone by doing that? So there are a lot of things we have to take into account, to consider before we come to the figure. Now, as far as discount, now as far as the pupils are concerned, similarly, we also told the chambering students we will take into account your chambering during the MCO, and we will not insist on you making up the period. Now, of course, I don't know about you, Salim. When you first did this, when we first announced this was 2 weeks in. Okay, so it was 2 weeks in. Little do we know it's going to be extended 6 weeks later on, right? So, of course, we're still sticking by that decision. But if you think about it, I hope pupils can appreciate the fact that you literally have lost 6 weeks of training. Okay. Now, to compare 2 weeks to 6 weeks is literally comparing night and day. Okay, 2 weeks worth of training, no big issue. No one's really gonna save very much. 6 weeks of training is substantial. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's substantial. Therefore, the Sabah Bar is still saying, so SLS is still saying it's okay. We'll still consider that, and I hope pupils can appreciate that, because, like I said, there is a big difference between 2 weeks and 6 weeks. But notwithstanding, we don't want to make it unnecessarily difficult for members. We will try to get you on to become a member as quickly as possible. So I do hope that pupils see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the webinar. So far, I'm going to invite the two speakers to give their summary before we close this. But let me give you some take-home points. So far, the presidents, if I work backwards, talking about privilege, there have been a discussion about either suspending the privilege or saying, look, no problem, despite the MCO, it will still be taken into account. So your call date won't be affected later on. So we also have discussion about getting surveys from members, receiving surveys, and then I think both the bars will be looking at the survey and then carrying work out from there. And on that point, Roger and Salim, later on when you're free, you can come back to this Facebook page. You look, there are a lot of comments here which I don't want to pick it up because there's no more time. And from there, Salim, for the Peninsular side, you may want to take it up and send it to AG or even to Esri for finance to have a look. Yeah, so then at the same time, the two presidents addressed the application for BT, where both have taken into account the spirit and the feelings of the members. Some members, in fact, many members said, no, I don't open a law firm. But we all can agree that the whole matter has been dealt with very poorly by the government, causing much confusion to lawyers. They don't realize, Salim and Roger, when they open their mouth and say the barber can open shop and the lawyer can open shop, our bargaining power with our landlord, for example, become weak, because the landlord was, you can open, pay my rental, you know. So this is the things which they never think before they try.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the two presidents have mentioned passionately about the long-term and short-term plans. Well done. So later, anybody who wants to listen to their view, please come back to this video. This video is permanently on the Facebook page. Press play and you can watch all over again, where Roger and Salim passionately point out what they will do for the short term and long term. And then at the beginning of the webinar, both presidents offered observations on what was happening. Now, I think Richard Wee and Chambers, we will actually conduct a watching party. We will take this video and press play again so everybody can watch again in the coming times, right? So before we come to an end, can I invite Salim to give your summary and Roger to give a summary? Salim, all yours, maybe 1 minute.
Yeah. Reiterating what I said earlier, all of us in uncharted water. We are actually in a trial period of wanting to know what is happening, what is waiting for us, and all that. We are clueless, but we are actually working on to subscribe to the future for all, for goodness of all. Please be patient with us. You know, whatever decision that the Malaysian Bar takes may not be right, but certainly we take into account all factors, you know, the sentiments of the members, and also our dealings with the stakeholders into account before we make policy decisions. So please support us. Please bear with us. You know, I know there's a lot of sentiments out there telling that, you know, they want this, they want that. But as a Malaysian Bar, we are as regulators, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to weigh and to juggle, to balance between wants and needs. So these are two different things. And, you know, I wish all of you all well. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hold on. Don't go yet. Don't go yet. Roger, your summary, Roger?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Richard and Salim. So basically, I do echo those sentiments that Salim just said. Sabah Bar members, please know that I always say this, and I mean it. Every single person's view matters. Okay. Please continue to channel your thoughts, your concerns, your disagreements with what we do to me. To the other committee members, the EXCO members, please continue to do that because they do actually tell me your views. All right. But at the end of the day, I do also hope that Sabah Bar members know that the decision that comes out is basically based on, unfortunately, the majority's views. Okay, we need to take into account what the majority of the people are saying, and because of that, there will be there obviously some minority views which are can't be fulfilled. So a good example is, like I said, notwithstanding that, I dare say a majority of people were for opening up to operate during MCO. Like I said, there was a sizable minority that was against it, and we took into account the sizable minority. So this is an instance where the minority matters. We looked at it and we thought, no, it does matter because they're very adamant and very, very passionate about why they don't want it to be open. So because of that, we didn't push forward with a particular thing. So it's not always a matter the majority wins. Most of the time it does, but there are some instances where we do realize we need to take into account the views of the minority as well.
Yeah, also we need to come to a collective decision. Yeah.
Yes. So and last but not least, I'd like to leave this statement with all the Sabah Bar members. We can only grow and improve if we are united. So please stay with us, and we will definitely stay with you. It is an honor and a pleasure to have been walking with you throughout MCO, and I hope that all of you stay well and stay safe, and we'll see you out on the other end.
Yes. Well said. Both of you said very well. I think it is safe to say that the two of you are trying your best to lead your bars, respectively, to do what you can. I repeat, Salim, we need help. We got 19,000 lawyers to ask for help. Call us, Roger, well done. And I'm sure our Sarawak bar is also doing the same thing, fighting the situation, doing what they can for the benefit of the bar. I'll conclude by saying this. My law firm, we've been using this hashtag for the last 1 month since the MCO started. I think it is without doubt at this very moment, as what Roger is saying, as Salim mentioned earlier, it's not time to be divided, not time to be divisive. We must do things together, and in my view, only together will we prevail. We will prevail together, right? So can I ask everybody here to give a round of applause to Roger and Salim, a cyber applause?
Thank you.
Well done, Roger. Well done, Salim.
Richard, I take this opportunity to thank Roger for a very informative discussion that we had.
Thank you, Salim.
I take the opportunity to thank Richard Wee and Richard Wee Chambers for bringing us on board to discuss this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we sign out, one quick announcement. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I am hosting a webinar on the topic of impact of conveyancing. We've got lawyers talking purely about conveyancing tomorrow. Big problem in conveyancing. So we've got 3 lawyers discussing about it from 3 different kind of firms: big firm, medium-sized firm, and 1 lawyer from Kedah. So we have that kind of 2 p.m. tomorrow live here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Roger, Salim, thank you very much for your time. You spoke very well. May the force be with you. Take care.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.